Sister Franklin? Yes, Miss Sharp. No, I'm afraid I can't. I'm supposed to have left here an hour ago. Well, when did it happen? Any swelling? Oh, why didn't you say that in the first place? All right, I'll be there in a minute. I give up. A sprained ankle indeed, block. Oh, I'll never get home. Take that into Edwards for me, would you?
But I can't. I'm not allowed.
Drink it.
But it's for headaches, not nerves.
Drink it.
Sister, I didn't think you'd be back so soon.
False alarm. Now perhaps I can get away from this place.
I think you ought to look at Sandy. She's acting rather strangely.
Oh, what's wrong?
Well, I think you should look, Sister. I've been reminded before. I'm just a prisoner here.
All right, you sound as if it's serious.
Yes, I think it is.
Well, she seems quite peaceful at the moment. I'll check on her again after I've finished this. What exactly did...
I just feel so helpless not knowing what's going on, you know. I want to see what my kids are doing at school. I want to do things.
Oh, never mind, darling. That won't be long. You get the plates, I'll get the knives and forks. They're fine. Oh, watch it, will you? What's the matter? Don't you like the company?
Where are you going, Peterson?
I'm sorry, Mrs. Morris. I'm not feeling very well. I took one look at the food and I'm sorry. I've got to go.
Don't worry about her, Mrs. Morris. She ain't worth it.
Oh, what would you know, Kendall? Keep your opinions to yourself, will you?
Leave her alone. Pick on someone else.
Oh, you settle in, have you, Brian? You might as well. You're going to be here for quite a while.
Cut it out, you two. She's right about the food, Black. Stinks.
Well, it's amazing what you'll eat when you have a choice of one.
This won't take long. Just the discharge forms to fill in and then you can go to dinner.
Where's Kate?
Oh, she left as soon as the bell went. Flew out of here as if her life depended on it. She must have been very hungry considering what they serve up in this place. How do you cope with it?
Oh, you get used to it.
Yeah, I guess that's true about everything, really.
What? Oh, yeah. Can I go now?
Yes, of course. I won't be far behind you. This has been the longest day in history. You can take her back now, Mrs. Barfield. You sure you're feeling okay?
Oh, yeah, I'm fine. Looks like that medicine really did the job.
Yeah, well, you got to keep your wits about you, you know. Just keep your nose clear and stay out of trouble.
You know how hard it is to do that in here, Jude. Murray and Sandy are at each other's throats, and who knows what Kate's doing or who's setting up who. I mean, you even got set up on the outside. What chance have we got in here?
Yeah, I know, love. Just be careful, that's all.
Yeah, very bloody careful.
Oh, come on, honey. Don't throw the towel in. Oh, hi, Sandy. What did Sister say?
I'm okay. Back in a minute.
Well, look who's back. Hey, that doctor mate of yours was in here a minute ago. What'd you say to her? She took off like the mafia was after her.
None of your bloody business. I'd like to wipe the ugly smirk right off her face.
Yeah, with a hammer.
What did you say?
Wasn't talking to you.
Well, I'm talking to you.
Listen, I'm only going to say this once, so you listen good.
You're scaring me to death,
That
Edward.
stunt you pulled in the shower block shows a real lack of thinking power. For that, you're going to get it. And if I find out you're in the Laggers Brigade, you're dead.
What are you talking about?
I don't have any proof yet, but there's a lot of things going on that point to something pretty rotten, so just watch it.
I don't have to listen to this garbage.
Suit yourself.
Back to your table, Edwards.
What was all that about?
Just trying to wise Mari up a bit. Bloody waste of time. You think, Kate?
Hardly just. She shot out of here like she had a rocket stuck up her. Any idea what's going on?
Maybe.
Come on, out with it.
Yeah, just let me work it out, will you?
Yeah, well, what have you got on your mind?
Not sure. But when I do, you can bet you'll be able to make a fortune selling the tickets.
Well, a lot of strange things going on lately that could do with a bit of explaining. Like B, for instance. Being sent to isolation for God knows what.
Yeah. You reckon that's tied in with Kate?
Dunno, but I'm sure going to find out. When I finish this, I might just pay the doctor a little friendly visit. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you. I heard you're not feeling too good.
Just resting, that's all.
Yeah, don't look well. Must have been something you ate. Or drank.
I'm just resting. Besides, with the way people have been acting lately, I'd rather be on my own.
Is, that why you missed dinner?
No, I just wasn't hungry. What about you? What did the sister say?
Oh, she said how hungry you must have been to have dashed off as soon as the bell went.
What's going on?
Nothing, Mrs. Morris. Absolutely nothing. So, then she drinks it and tears out like she was on fire.
Yeah, she's dangerous. Very dangerous. I don't mind an honest-to-goodness bash artist, but a poisoner, my God.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
She's trying to tell me you're crazy? Pardon?
So, she thinks I'm crazy, does she?
Yeah. I'll put her straight about that, but what are you going to do about it?
Well, I'd like to talk to Bea first. I've got a funny feeling she tried to get a message to me yesterday, but it was a bit fuzzy. Don't worry, she's not going to get away with it. She's going to need more than a bloody medical degree by the time I finish with her.
Come in. Oh, Meg, I was just about to ring for you. Is there any news of Mrs. Barry's glasses?
No, not that I know of. I'd say they're gone for good. But that wasn't exactly what I came to see you about.
Oh, something wrong?
Well, not yet, but I think there's trouble brewing.
Well, go on.
Well, some of the women suspect Peterson of informing against them.
To an officer?
Well, I suspect so, but also to the police. Now, I wouldn't be surprised that Colleen knew something about this, and Steve Faulkner also indicated that he had a contact amongst the women.
Why do you think Mrs. Powell is involved?
Well, B. Smith seems to think there's a possibility of Peterson trading information and implicated Colleen. Now, I know we can't trust a lot of the women, but B was deadly serious, and I am inclined to believe her.
What exactly did she say?
Well, I can't remember her exact words, but she did insinuate that Colleen's motives were to do with her career.
I see. Meg, if you had known that Colleen Powell was going to get the job, would you have still turned down the deputy governorship?
Erica, I am merely passing on suspicions based on information. And as governor of this prison, I thought you should know.
Well, I'm sorry if I have offended you, but the connection was there and I had to mention it. Of course you were right in bringing it to my attention, and I shall have a word with Mrs. Powell when she comes on duty.
Thank you.
Oh, hello, Doc, feeling better, are you?
I'm feeling fine.
Huh. Surprised to see you up and about again so soon after your little lie down.
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm perfectly all right. But thank you anyway.
Don't mention it. But you can't blame me for wondering. I mean, a nice hot cup of salt isn't exactly my idea of the perfect nightcap.
Ah, so that's what it's all about, is it? Well, I hate to disillusion you, but I took that salt to remove a stain from my skirt. Nothing more, nothing less.
Martha Gardner rides again, eh?
Come on, Peterson. You're signed to work in the hospital, not chat in the corridors.
Just an educational conversation.
You too, Edwards. Move it.
All right, all right. How come she gets all the cushy jobs anyway and I'm stuck with this antique?
You're not in a position to complain about the work you're assigned. Now get on with it.
Do you know why she gets all those cushy jobs?
Because she's qualified.
I'll tell you quite a
And
few
I
things.
told you, move it.
Mary, I was just wondering if you've got any of that good stuff, you know.
You want to give your mind a bit of a buzz, eh?
Yeah.
Well, don't you worry. I've got a little ship coming in soon. There's going to be more than enough for everybody. You got cash?
Yeah, I've been saving up.
Ah, you hear that, girls? Mouse has been saving up her pennies. Why don't you learn something, Bryant? You always seem to be broke when buying time comes round.
I've got better things to do with my money.
Is that a fact? Well, I reckon Mouse deserves a bit of compensation for her effort, so why don't you...
Why don't you shove it?
You better watch it, Bryant, or I might have to get unpleasant.
You are unpleasant. It's amazing, you know, how tough you are when Sandy isn't here.
Well, she ain't, so you better...
I'm not frightened of you, you know that? Your heavies aren't here. What are you going to do, stick Mouse onto me?
Oh, it's all right, Mary. Oh, besides, Jude can't go near the dryers. Her pacemaker plays up.
Thanks, Mouse.
Is that a fact? Well, I reckon your time's running out.
What are you going to do,
Bryant.
take on all of us?
If I have to.
Oh, I'm sorry, Jude. I didn't mean to start any trouble. Oh, am I glad to be in here. It's like a refuge from the storm.
Is it getting to you?
Oh, in a way, I suppose. Would you like a coffee?
No, let me. What's the problem?
Oh, haven't you heard? The women have got a Kate Peterson hate campaign on.
Do you think there's going to be trouble?
Yes, I do. But Mrs. Davidson thinks I'm just touchy because Colleen's the deputy.
Well, are you?
No. Oh, I don't know. Perhaps I am. I thought I had my priorities right. Marriage before career. Look what happened to me. Bob didn't even wait to talk about it.
Oh, well, that's men for you. Still, they have their uses.
Changed your tune?
Oh, no, I haven't. Take it in Marnie. He's got a sense of humour. He doesn't take things too seriously. Something we could all learn from.
I think he just leads people on for his own amusement.
No, it's just his manner. It's not intentional.
You're jumping to his defence all of a sudden. It was only a few days ago that you disliked the man.
Well, I just misunderstood him.
No?
I think he's very good company.
Company? Oh, when did this happen?
Meg Morris, you're just a stirrer.
Hayes? Listen, honey, I've been thinking about what you said this afternoon. You know, about not getting the chance to keep your nose clean? You're wrong, you know.
Am I? Well, what are you doing back here, then?
It's just that you got the best reason in the world to stay out of trouble. Your family.
Oh, that's more than some of us have got.
Look, all I'm trying to say is that trouble has a way of creeping up on you.
Right, O'Brien, who gave you a rest?
I did, so butt out.
Well, I'm running things around here, so you better get back to work.
Look, why don't you mind your own business?
It is my business. You get into trouble, we all get into trouble.
If I get into trouble, I'll ride with it, okay?
Hey, look at this.
What's that?
It's a note addressed to Sandy.
That's Bee's writing.
Right, I hand it over.
No, it's addressed to Sandy.
I said hand it over. Listen, Bryant, why don't you just butt out? I'm getting mighty sick of you.
Yeah. Hayes off!
Oh, hand it over, Ken.
Listen, why don't you mind your own business, girl? That's not your note.
It ain't hers either.
Yeah, well, I'll make sure she gets it, but...
I'm not going to ask you again. You bitch him at it this time. Bloody bitch busting me ribs.
Yeah, and whose fault was it anyway,
That's
huh?
enough. She attacked me, slammed the door right into me.
Oh, and I suppose you were just standing there doing bugger all.
I said that's enough.
It wasn't her fault, Mrs. Morris.
We'll sort it out later.
What about me busting ribs?
Sister will decide whether they're broken or not.
Didn't realise the door was that heavy.
Oh, come off it. Of course it's heavy.
Well, I was just trying to defend myself.
Come on, Mrs. Morris. It wasn't Hazel's fault. She was about to thump her.
I didn't touch her. I didn't lay a finger on her.
Did Winter hit you first?
No, but...
All right. Miss Conway, take Winter to the hospital, and Kent, you'll come with me to the governor.
What are you supposed to do when someone threatens you? Let them bash your brains in?
Did Winter threaten you?
Yes, she did.
Why, Winter? Kent, why?
Well, look, she was coming at me. What was I supposed to do, stand there?
Did anybody else see what happened? Trap?
I don't know, Mrs. Morris.
All right. Back to work.
Couldn't you just overlook this one?
You know the rules, Bright. Now get back to work. Come with me, Kent.
See what I mean, Jude? See what I mean?
Now, what is all this about?
There was some trouble in the laundry. Mary Winter was injured. We accused Hazel of striking her.
Is she badly hurt?
She's seeing the sister now.
She was coming at me, Mrs. Davidson. I was standing near the dryer door, so I used it to protect myself, and it hit her. Well, she's always trying to throw her weight around, and you got to defend yourself, don't you?
Did you do anything to provoke her?
No, Mrs. Davidson.
Or she just came at you for no reason?
Well, I just refused to do what she said. She's always picking on us, trying to make fun of us, orders us around for no reason.
Well, I think the only thing to be considered here is who struck the first blow.
But she was coming at me. She had a heavies bit.
Struck the first blow.
Well, I did, but that's
I
just...
see.
Mrs. Davidson, I think this is an example of what I was telling you about.
Oh?
General unrest amongst the women.
It seems more like an isolated incident to me. There's been no mention of the prisoner we talked about. Kent, this is not what I expect of you, especially with so much at stake.
Yes, Mrs. Davidson.
Well, you know what this could mean to your parole.
Yes, I do.
Well, you will spend 24 hours in solitary confinement. Perhaps that will make you realize how to avoid trouble in the future. Is there anything further you wish to say?
No, Mrs. Davidson.
Very well, that will be all.
Well, there's really nothing to worry about. Just a bit of nasty bruising, but certainly nothing broken.
Well, it feels like it's broken.
What do you think, Peterson?
Hello.
Yes.
All right, fine. Thank you.
No, there's nothing broken.
Good.
That was reception. You've got a visitor, Peterson.
Oh, I can manage here, Miss Conway. Off you go, Peterson.
Did they say who it was?
I think it's your solicitor.
Well, it's about time.
Sister Franklin, could you keep Winter here until I can get an officer to take her back?
Oh, that won't be necessary. I'll keep her here overnight just as a precaution.
I'll tell Mrs. Davidson.
Oh, thanks. All you need to do is rub some of this on morning and night.
Do I have to go back to work?
Tomorrow, yes. Oh. You'll be all right. If you take things carefully, in a day or two you won't even notice it.
I'll notice it all right. It'll keep reminding me what I'm going to do that Kent bitch when I get my hands on her.
Good morning, Mrs. Peterson.
Mr. Andrews?
I believe we're entitled to a private interview.
Of course.
Right now, I think I've got some good news for you.
I'm very glad to hear it. My last solicitor would have choked if he'd had to say something like that.
Yes, well, I know nothing of that.
So, what is this good news?
Simply that I believe we can have your sentence reduced from murder to manslaughter. It's quite a step, and one that would have been impossible without the evidence of Mr. Ross.
Well, he wasn't easy to find.
Yes, so I gather. But with his testimony, a little legal expertise, and take into account the time you've already served, I think we can have you out of here in 6 months.
That, Mr. Andrews, is a marked improvement on 12 years.
Yes, of course. But I don't want to build you up with mere hopes. Our whole success depends on the testimony of Mr. Ross. Now, it was at his motor lodge that your lover, Conrad, made repeated threats and attacks against you and your son.
Yes, that's correct. Of course, I wasn't aware at the time that anybody overheard. I never thought I'd be grateful for motel rooms having such thin walls.
Yes, of course. This Mr. Ross is an excellent witness. Why wasn't he called to the original trial?
Well, as I said before, Mr. Andrews, he wasn't easy to find, and well, my original lawyer left a lot to be desired.
Oh, I see.
But with you in charge, I'm sure I can look forward to getting out of here very soon.
Well, I'll certainly do my best.
Have you spoken to Mr. Ross?
Oh, indeed I have, and he's been very cooperative. I was surprised at his knowledge of legal procedures.
Luck seems to be on my side.
And we in the profession prefer to call it justice.
And correctly so.
Anyway, there I was telling Hazel how wrong she was when Mari ups and thumps her one and Hazel ends up in the pound. I feel as though I really let her down, you know?
It's not your fault.
Thanks, love, but it doesn't help me to feel any better.
Well, what happened to the note?
Well, Hazel still has it, I guess.
Murray got a belt in the ribs. Terrific.
Yeah, it was a real wallop, and she screamed like a stuck pig.
You make up your mind, Mouse. 1 minute you're sucking up to Murray for pills, and now this.
Yeah, well, I only asked.
Did you get to see what was in the note?
No. I think we'll have to wait until Hazel gets out of solitary before we can find that out.
I can make a pretty good guess.
I'm thinking the same thing.
Funny. Everything at the moment seems to revolve around that woman.
Who?
Come on, let's eat.
Oh, come and sit with us, Kate. Move, Mouse. We've said grace.
Hey, did you see Murray in hospital?
Nothing broken, just a few bruises.
Pity.
They're keeping her in overnight for observation.
Has she been prescribed any painkillers?
I don't know.
Oh.
You know, it's funny. Murray in hospital, Hazel in the pound, all over a little note from B to Sandy.
Yeah. It's a pity Hazel still got it. I'd love to know what was in it. Got any ideas, Kate?
I don't know, and I don't really care.
I thought you said you...
Shut up. Lost your appetite. You're not eating enough. You've got to keep your strength up.
I've had enough, and it's rubbish anyway.
Well, that depends on what you do with it. I mean, you can spice it up a bit. Here, you try some of this. More to your taste, I think.
I'm sick and tired of your infantile little games. All I care, you can rot in your own stupidity, and believe me, there's enough of that to go around. Thank God I don't have to put up with you for much longer.
Funny you should say that.
Why aren't you eating, Peterson?
Let's just say I didn't care for the people sitting at my table.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. Someone must have bungled the players' cards. Get back to the dining room.
I can't. Sandy Edwards is planning something, I know it. She's done everything but actually say it.
Oh, okay. Just go to the rec room.
I can't keep running away from her forever. It's not that simple. Look, Mrs. Powell, I have a great deal of money.
So?
Well, I thought, as we've had dealings in the past...
If you're about to say what I think you are, just to remember, I'm easily offended.
Why should a gift be offensive? I mean, you've helped me adjust to this place. I'm grateful. You could help me a lot more if you took care of Sandy Edwards for me.
Go on.
You could have her transferred to isolation.
Peterson, you do have a heart. At the very least, I thought you'd want me to have her lynched.
You could do with the money, couldn't you?
Forget it. In the first place, it's an offence. In the second, do you really think I would be stupid enough to accept money from a prisoner?
Think about it. More money than you could earn in a lifetime. Your house, your children. You do have children, don't you?
Oh, yes, I have children. A mortgage, rates, and a husband on take-home pay. I also have a career, which I wouldn't throw to one side for a person who thinks she can run the prison to suit herself because she owns a hefty bank balance.
But you could have so much.
You are wasting your recreation period, Peterson. Move it.
Oh, no.
I said move it.
When you've finished writing those reports, you can start on mine. I've got an aversion to writing them.
I look as if I'm enjoying myself.
I don't think anyone reads them. I bet they just file away and forgotten.
Yeah.
Hi, Anne.
Hello, Steve. Hello.
How's it going in the workshop?
Oh, fine.
Women coping with the press?
Yeah, they're doing really well. I think some of the women have got printer's ink in their veins. And in their hair and on their clothes. And no, they're doing well.
Well, they seem to enjoy it.
Yeah, so do I.
You know, when the women are enthusiastic and that press starts to churn, I feel as though I'm working on the Daily Planet. Almost expect Lizzie to start dropping lines like, hold the front page.
Yeah, well, that reminds me. I've got to get this in.
Can it wait a minute?
No, it's late already.
Oh, I'll take care of it. Oh, it's only going to get filed and forgotten, isn't it?
Well, I guess so.
Well, I'll take care of it then. I'll see you a bit later.
Now, about our little agreement.
What agreement?
Well, that I'll see a modern movie with you if you see an old movie with me. What do you say?
What I said last time, no.
You've got to stop saying that word. It is bad for you. No. It'll give you mean little lines all around your mouth. You don't want mean little lines all around your mouth, do you?
No.
Look, watch. Just try saying yes. Just try.
Yes.
Good. I'll pick you up at 6.
No, in just a minute.
Deal's a deal.
I'm not going.
What's your address?
25 Gilmore Road, Denham, flat 2.
6.
6.
I seem to remember that it had Wentworth Detention Centre across the top and Visitors Pass underneath. Or was it Visitors Pass at the top and Wentworth Detention Centre underneath?
Can't you remember, Lizzie?
Oh, come on, love. It's so long since I've seen one, I can't remember what was underneath. But I'll bet London to a brick if you just waltz up to the gate like you owned the joint, shove one at the guard, the mug'll let you right through.
Well, I thought I'd get in with a bunch of visitors and walk out with them at the same time.
That's the trick. I think you'd better put Wentworth Detention Centre at the top. Your printing's really big, love. That ought to work. If there's any justice left in this world, it ought to work. You should walk straight out of here and never come back.
You wanted to see me, Mrs. Davis?
Yes, I've hardly had a chance to talk to you since your promotion. How are you settling in?
Oh, very well, I hope. Then I suppose that's for you to decide.
Well, I don't foresee any problems. There's just one thing I'd like to point out.
Yeah.
Now, this is not personal. It is a general guideline that would apply to anyone who had been promoted to deputy governor. I would suggest that you use a little more reserve in dealing with the prisoners. Of course, everything must be run strictly according to the book, but I'm sure you understand that.
Just like Mrs. Morris would have.
Well, you mustn't let the fact that Mrs. Morris was first offered the position stand in your way. I'm sure you will do an excellent job.
Thank you. Look, this probably isn't the time to mention it, but my salary hasn't been adjusted.
Oh, well, I'll attend to that immediately. It's probably just some small mix-up somewhere.
Oh, if you could, thanks. I would have left it for a week, but I just had the usual end of the month bill, so I do need it rather urgently.
Lizzie, I'd like a word with you, please.
What is it, Mr. Falk?
I just wanted to ask you if you knew anything about the disappearance of Mrs. Barry's glasses.
What would I know about her glasses? My eyesight's perfectly all right.
I wasn't suggesting it was you who took
And even if it wasn't, I could get my own glasses. I'm not as hard up as all that.
Relax, Lizzie. I'm just appealing to you as the most mature and probably the most responsible of the women to help us get them back.
Oh, Tar. But I don't know who could play a joke like that. Truly, I don't.
Well, just keep it in mind that if they're returned to me, I won't put in a report. The main thing is they're expensive and Mrs. Barry needs them badly.
Well, if I come across them, I'll bring them straight back to you. But between you and me, I don't think that's much of a joke anyway.
No, it's not. That'll be all. Thanks, Lizzie.
Gee, I didn't think of that. It must be awful not being able to see.
Yeah, dreadful. Post them back when you get out.
Yes, sir. Well, we'll fix that.
Well, I think we've got everything covered for tonight.
Did you get any more cars, Ernie?
Yeah, I managed to beg another 7 to back us up.
Good. Well, they won't go astray. We've got to hit those bastards hard from all sides. Trouble is, we're not going to get McNally himself, but at least we'll knock off his drug racket.
What about the contact at Wentworth? Are you going to keep that going?
Not after tonight. The lovely Mrs. Kate Peterson has done her civic duty. She's no further use to us.
Ah, good. I like undercover work, but dealing with Kate Peterson was different. Never come across a criminal like that before.
No, well, not many of them start off with her assets. Education, money, not a nerve in her body. Still, you can forget her. After tomorrow, we'll be through with her.
God, I've forgotten where we buried him.
Over there.
Oh, don't point, it's rude. Come on then, let's get him. Hey, you get down change. Lil's visitors will be leaving soon.
Got the dress on under this.
Oh, is that why you're walking so funny? You must have made it tight.
I did.
Gather round and try and look casual.
Mrs. Powell? What is it?
I was wondering if anybody is to be moved into my dormitory with me. Probably. Why? I'm enjoying my privacy. I'd like to keep it that way. Well, you're occupying a 3-bed dorm. You can't expect to have it all to yourself. And I'd like to be moved to a single cell. Whereabouts? The Hilton? Why not? I can afford it. You have been thinking about what I said, haven't you?
Hurry up, love. Lil's people are leaving. Now's your chance.
I wish me luck, Izzy.
I do, love. Mwah. God bless you. Hey, have you got your specs? Sarah, just look at this garden. It's a disgrace. It's so run down.
It is a bit seedy.
When I think of all the lovely ideas that Sid had for it, it could be a picture. You know, Mrs. Powell, I've been thinking with all this land we got, why can't we put in some fruit trees? I mean, the women are just... Mrs. Powell!
Okay. Just a minute. Where'd you get it?
I've got to catch up to me parents.
Where'd you get the pass?
I'll handle it, Ted.
Right, Mrs. Powell.
Don't tell me. Let me guess. You're returning Mrs. Barry's glasses. Where'd you get the skirt?
I made it.
Next time you better cut on the cross, just in case you have to make a run for it.
Hello, you're very punctual.
You too? Already, huh? Hey, you making coffee?
Yes, would you like some?
Well, how about we go straight to the restaurant? If you don't mind, you could fill this. They serve coffee at the theatre, but I tried it once and it is not well, so I usually try to take my own. But I've run out at home, so I was half hoping you might have some.
Yeah, well, sit down and I'll fix it. What are we seeing tonight?
Now Voyager with Betty Davis. Hey, I like your flat.
Oh, thank you. How do you take your coffee?
Strong black, thanks. No sugar.
Oh, that makes it easy, so do I. Not used to taking a thermos to the theatre.
Wait till you see this theatre. But don't worry, I've got most of the things we need in the car.
What else would we need?
Well, the seats are a bit hard, so I bought a few cushions and put in a rug, too. But we probably won't need it. Zach will sleep on it, so it won't be totally wasted.
Who's Zach?
The theatre cat. He's got a real killer instinct. You wouldn't believe the rats that were there before he appeared on the scene. All ready?
Yeah, I think so.
Well, Dorothy, let's follow the yellow brick road.
She just tried to walk out the front gate.
No, she tried to wriggle out the front gate. Not much of a dressmaker. Oh, you can't really call it an escape attempt.
Or she must be reprimanded.
Yes, of course, Mrs. Davidson, but I don't think the punishment should be too harsh.
All right, bring her in.
Come on.
Susan, this is your file, and 2/3 of it comprises of attempted escapes. You have escaped from relatives, you have escaped from institutions, and that is why you are now in Wentworth. This latest attempt could mean you're being sent to solitary, and it is serious enough for you to appear before the visiting justice.
But I didn't even get past the front gate, Mrs. Davidson.
I realize that, and on this occasion I shall simply revoke all privileges and leave it at that. But you must learn that the quickest way for you to leave Wentworth is by good behavior. Now, try to accept why you are here. That will be all, thank you, Mrs. Powell.
Mrs. Davidson, Why am I here?
Well, you were charged with vagrancy, with escaping from legal custody, and you were considered to be in moral danger.
I've never understood why. When my parents went travelling around and working, they left me as relatives. They might have been my relatives, but they didn't care about me. So I ran away. Well, I didn't have any money, but I didn't steal or I didn't hurt anyone. Is it a crime not to have any money?
You were living with a known prostitute.
What's wrong with that? She was nice and she liked me. When the police took me back to my relatives, they didn't care about me, so I was put in all those girls' homes. And now I'm in prison. Is that what you mean, Mrs. Davidson? I'm in prison because no one wanted me.
Really popular in the early 40s. As you can see, she's still packing them in. You hang on to these for a tick?
Sure.
Fight my way to the ticket box. Two, thanks. Thank you. You have seen a Betty Davis movie before?
Oh, hasn't everyone? I saw one where she was an axe murderess. She's quite frightening with those big mad eyes.
Yeah, that was Charlotte.
Charlotte.
Hush, Hush, Sweet Charlotte. She made it in the 60s. Now, Voyager, she made in 42.
Has it got sound?
It's got everything. Come on, let's go. We're sitting right down the front.
I get the feeling the whole audience will be sitting down the front.
Get your things together, Peterson. You're moving out.
Where to?
I've arranged a single cell.
You just earned yourself some money, Mrs. Powell.
I already earn enough with my job.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was forgetting you're easily offended. But should your morality waver, do remember my offer of a gift. It would only mean a few minor favors.
Presuming that... just presuming for the moment that I was interested, how would you go about making payment that couldn't be traced back to you?
I have 3 bank accounts under false names. I've already used one, but the other 2 are held by my mother, although she doesn't know it. It'd be a simple matter to make payment from one of those. Presuming, just presuming for a moment that you were interested.
Are you all right?
Oh, I'm fine. It was just so sad.
I got a feeling you enjoyed that.
I didn't want it to end. I've never seen Betty Davis look like that. She was quite beautiful.
You see, she doesn't just always play ugly old crazies.
I didn't recognize her without the accent.
You thought that was sad? Wait till next month. They got a Garbo festival. Well, you have seen Camille, haven't you?
No.
Well, brace yourself and bring a big box of tissues. It's so sad it makes Now Voyager look like musical comedy.
I don't think I could stand it.
You'll love it.
You know, what about our agreement? I said I'd see an old movie if you'd see a modern one.
I was hoping you'd forgotten about that.
I don't forget anything.
Well, what have you got in mind?
Well, I quite like disaster movies.
Oh, you don't really, do you?
Have you ever seen one?
I saw Lifeboat with Tallulah Bankhead.
I mean a modern one.
1944.
Yeah, well, whatever it is, it's my choice and my shot.
Well, I'll bring the coffee and the cushions, okay?
Well, you won't need coffee and cushions.
Theatre got a cat?
No, no rats either.
Oh, you see what I mean? No atmosphere.
Well, thank you, Ian. I really enjoyed that.
Me too. You know, a lot of movie buffs like to go to the films alone, but I find I much prefer to go with a friend. My wife was never interested.
Perhaps you'd like a drink?
Oh, no, thanks. You can sleep in tomorrow, but I've got an early start. Hey, take it easy. Just because I've got you alone, I'm not going to do a Valentino.
I know that. I just don't know when you're being serious or not.
You'll know when I'm being serious. Night.
Good morning.
Good morning, Mrs. Powell.
You two look as though you've been up all night.
And the night before.
Are we in the midst of a crime wave?
Not anymore. We just managed to break up McNally's drug operation.
Congratulations. Then I take it you're no longer interested in Kate Peterson.
Well, we're still interested in nailing her. We'd like to see Mrs. Davidson.
Sure. Inspector, I hope you're going to be discreet about the confidential meetings I arranged between you and Peterson.
Now, Mrs. Powell, When have you known me ever to be anything but discreet? So, we were able to make a series of major drug raids acting on information that we received at Wentworth. This information originated from Mari Winter, and it was Kate Peterson who attempted to get messages out to McNally's boys.
Well, it's unthinkable. Drug trafficking within Wentworth, and this is the first I hear about it. Why wasn't I told?
Well, you're being told now, Mrs. Davidson. You're also being told that it's almost cleaned up. Wentworth is dry. All that remains is to charge Winter and Peterson, and I'd like to see them both now, separately, starting with Peterson.
Well, I find her involvement in drug trafficking inconceivable.
Well, trafficking was Winter's baby. Peterson just used it as a means to an end.
To what end?
Getting out of Wentworth. She wanted us to rig a crooked witness for her appeal. And that's not all. We've got her on everything from jaywalking to fraud.
You can also add attempted bribery to that, Inspector. Last night, Peterson offered me large sums of money that was to be drawn from accounts held under false names.
We've traced one account under an assumed name. We figured there might be more.
Mrs. Powell, I am beginning to wonder whether I would be informed if Wentworth were on fire. Why didn't you report this to me?
I'm sorry, Mrs. Davidson, but it occurred after you'd left last night. I'll do the report this morning.
Well, see that you do. Now bring Peterson here. Well, Inspector, if you have any further revelations about Peterson, please tell me now.
Oh, I think we've covered everything.
So has she, it would seem, from bribery to murder.
Morning, ladies. That's all right. Well, let's get the show on the road, shall we?
You seem pretty bright this morning, Anne.
He's always bright. You know, Mr. Marnie, I like it when you talk, even when you tell us to get to work, because you always sound as though it's going to be fun.
Well, there's no reason why it shouldn't be, Lizzie.
What'd you get up to last night?
Oh, nothing. Just went to the movies with a friend.
Morning, Mr. Marnie. I'll be taking Peterson. You've got a visitor.
Right, Mr. Powell.
I'll have a coffee with you later.
Yeah, sure.
What's she doing having a visitor at this hour of the morning?
I don't care how many visitors she gets or what time they come.
Oh, come on, love. You're still a bit depressed about getting sprung, aren't you? Tell you what, let's get to work and that'll take your mind off things.
I don't want to take my mind off.
There's no good dwelling on the past.
I'm not, Lizzie. I'm thinking about the future.
Who is my visitor? Someone you're quite familiar with by now. No, not that way. The visit, it's to be held in the governor's office.
Why the governor's office?
Well, why not? Nothing but the best for our Dr. Peterson. Come on.
What's going on? Mrs. Davidson?
Inspector Grace will explain.
What am I doing here?
Well, now, you're going to be charged with fraud, Mrs. Peterson. Conspiring to import drugs into the prison, conspiring to pervert the course of justice, and now attempted bribery of a prison officer, it seems.
You're mad. I don't have to stay here and listen to...
You don't have to answer any of these charges, but I must warn you that anything you say may be taken down, reduced to type, and may be used in evidence against you.
Well, you'll have to get your evidence from somewhere else, won't you? Because you haven't got any. You can't prove any of these charges. What's he writing down?
Oh, that's Detective Sergeant Ross. He's just doing his job.
Detective? What are you trying to do to me? You've all had a hand in this, haven't you? The attempted bribery of an officer. Sounds cheap and dirty, doesn't it? Insulting. But I seem to remember you were eager enough at the time. What happened, pal? Get cold feet.
Come on, Mrs. Peterson. You've been supplying us with enough evidence yourself, don't you think? I mean, there's your attempt to rig a crooked witness and your secret accounts and now bribery of a prison officer. You're going to be in here for a long time.
Oh, no. You used me. You used my information. You can't keep me in here. You pig, you used me! Come on!
Come on.
Nobody uses me!
Well, just to show I'm not resentful, I won't add assault of a police officer to the charges.
Peterson, you will be placed in solitary confinement.
I'll go with you.
Kill you!
Join the queue, lady. There's a waiting list.
You can't keep me in here forever. I can kill you, all of you. You're all liars and cheaters, filthy! No!
He used to give me roses I wish he could again. But that was on the outside, and things were different then.